All right, welcome back, Bowling World fans. So, one thing that we all kind of just forget to take care of, we always take care of our bowling balls with ball cleaners and sanding pads and make sure that our fit is right, whether it's by using thumb tapes or by making sure that we get refitted every so often, and so on and so forth. You make sure you sand out your thumbs whenever they're too small. You get your grips changed out whenever they become too worn out, or maybe you've swollen and you need to make a bigger size, or you switch to vacuum grips. Make a bunch of fitting differences in your game. But the one thing that we forget about our game that's very important is our timing, and not only that, but our footing. So today we're gonna talk about how to take care of our bowling shoes. So we're gonna talk about a couple different things. We're gonna talk about care of our bowling shoes and how do we make these last longer. And two, we're also going to talk about the different types of heels and soles that you can use on interchangeable shoes. And just in general care for your bowling shoes. How can we make things last a little bit longer, especially in this time where things are a little bit less accessible. So let's go ahead and get into today's video and talk about what we can do to make these shoes last longer and understand a little bit more about all the different soles and heels that they come along with. All right, so here is our KR Mavericks. Now, the first two things that I'm gonna show you guys is this right here. Now, the first thing that you guys are gonna notice is that right here we have some yellowing of the sole, and on the actual heel we have a couple of marks where it's just kind of gummed up with some stuff that we probably stepped in, and it's a little bit dusty. It doesn't look like the original sole whenever we first got out of the box. This is what it looks like after 3 or 4 months of use. And yeah, so let's now look at the other foot, and let's go ahead and take this out of the shoe cover. And now here is the heel. Again, we have a lot of dust. There's a couple spots where it's been gummed up with some stuff. And then we can see my heel here is a little bit beat up. It's a little bit flat and burnt out. And that's just because of the fact that a lot of my wear and tear comes right here in the center of my foot versus the very tip of my toe. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things that we have that could help with this situation. So let's go ahead and set these aside and let's grab a couple different items. Now, a little bit of this is probably out of frame because I'm cropping this down a little bit. So let's go ahead and put this in a way that you guys can see a little better. Kind of spread this out a little bit differently here. So to start off with, we have the different heels and the different soles that you can purchase out of the KR brand to be able to use on the KR Mavericks themselves. Now, keep in mind that if you're getting the KR Mavericks, they come in left or right-handed, while the Rages actually use the universal soles. So they make soles for the Mavericks that look like this. So they're gonna be situated for one foot versus the other. So if you're right-handed, you're gonna be using the left-handed model of the soles that look like this. And the universals are gonna be ambidextrous shape. So keep that in mind whenever you're buying these. So to start off with, we have the number 2 shark tooth heel. Then we have the number 5 gray graduated rubber heel. And then we have the number 7 black leather heel. So what are these 3 heels meant for and how are they used and what do they do more specifically? So the number 2 is gonna have the most amount of break, so it's gonna have the most friction against any surface. Then we have the number 5, which is gonna be the medium, and number 7, which is gonna have the least amount of friction versus any surface that you bowl on. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the soles and the different varieties that you're gonna see in these soles. So in the KR products, we're gonna see the number 2 brown suede sole, the number 4 black suede sole, the number 6 perforated microfiber white sole, the number 8 white microfiber sole, and the number 10 gray felt sole. Now, the thing that you have to understand about these slides is if you want more slide, you're gonna go towards the 10 where the gray part is, or if you want less slide, you're gonna go towards number 2. Now, there is other companies like Dexter that has the steps in between, so they'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just like that, versus KR that just has these 5 options at the moment in time. Now, you're gonna wanna be able to find what is most comfortable to you. So this is a lot of trial and error. I have found that my 3 best ones are number 2, number 4, and number 6. Number 2 and number 4 are for conditions whenever the lanes are wooden approaches where they're a little bit slicker, that they collect a little bit more dust, and I need to stop myself a little bit more with the front of my foot. And then I always use a number 2 rubber heel, the shark tooth heel here in my hands. Now, if I ever bowl at a synthetic approach house, depending on which synthetic approach and how the condition is inside the bowling center, whether it's a little bit colder, a little bit warmer, I'll go back and forth in between the number 4 and the number 6 soles. I never really go above this because it's too much slide for me going above this, so these two right here are completely out of the equation. So you guys are gonna see me mainly use these 3 soles right here, and then you're gonna see me use on my push-off foot this number 5 graduated rubber heel, and on my actual slide foot, you're gonna see me use the number 2 rubber shark tooth heel. So keep that in mind whenever you are looking at the different types of soles, is that you're just gonna have to experiment with the combination of all of it and how it feels best to you. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how we can maintain these to make sure that they last a little bit longer. So the heels you can actually clean off. You can just take a towel, some water, and just clean them off. You can even clean them off with a soft bristle brush. I actually have a bunch of regular sneakers that I clean on a normal basis, and I have sneaker cleaners, so whenever I need to clean these, I just use my sneaker cleaner brushes, and I just go ahead and scrub them down, wipe them off, and make sure that they're dry and let them dry completely. And then for my soles, these actually last me slightly longer than they used to, and that's because lately I've become one of habit. And before I go up to bowl, and you'll see it in vlogs and anything else that I do while bowling, is you'll see me brush off my shoe with a shoe brush. So I'll carry around my nifty little shoe brush here by KR, nice color red, and all I'm doing is I'm brushing the foot from left to right or right to left. It doesn't really matter what direction you do it in. I just do it in the side to side direction because of the fact that it allows those fibers to move this way and allow more friction against the surfaces that I'm bowling on. Now, if you want to slide a little bit more, I would say go the long ways and go ahead and get yourself a little bit more fluidity whenever you're going into the line. Now, for the push-off foot, it's pretty simple. You're gonna do that same thing. You're gonna clean off the outsoles on the push-off rubber as well as the push-off heel rubber, and you're just gonna clean those off with a wet towel. Really scrub in there and get it nice and cleaned up. Make sure all that dirt and all that dust and all the muck that gets stuck to them just goes away, and make sure they're nice and dry, nice and clean, and these will be back to their normal selves. Now on my push-off foot, I normally actually leave these a little dirtier because I don't want it to 100% stick, but I do want to make sure that they are clean enough to where I can still feel my foot holding onto the lane and actually pushing off against the actual approaches, so keep that in mind. Now, one more thing I will recommend is buying a shoe cover. Having a good shoe cover is gonna save you whenever you're traveling. You don't know what bowling centers you're gonna be walking into and how they take care of their building. Every bowling center does their best of their abilities to be able to clean up all the floors and all that, but when you have a tournament filled with different people, it can be hundreds of people. You wanna make sure you have a shoe cover that you can walk around in. That way you don't step into water, any snacks that somebody might have dropped, or any drinks that somebody may have dropped and not had caught to be able to clean up. So make sure you guys buy a shoe cover. I'll go ahead and link these in the description. And last but not least, we also have the insoles. So these insoles from KR are the 3D Ortholite insoles that they've been using for decades and years and years and years. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this guy out. But as you can see, you can clearly see where my foot has kind of conformed into this sole. And we're gonna go ahead and actually swap these out for some new ones. If you didn't know, they sell these separately, so you can go ahead and purchase them. They sell them in different sizes, so you just buy the whatever size is appropriate to what size shoe you wear. But you can buy these and go ahead and replace your insoles whenever you need to. So I'm gonna just go ahead and take this, pop it into my shoe, and I'll have basically a brand new shoe whenever it comes down to it. That way I don't have to worry about having to get a brand new shoe because it feels like they have deteriorated. My shoe on the exterior is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with any of the edges of my shoe, and just the insoles is what my problem has been lately when it comes to bowling, because they have worn out. I've been using these for 3 months in a row, and with all the filming that I do plus the bowling that I do, they have definitely worn out quite a bit. So I go ahead and replace these out. Give me 1 sec. So there we go. There is my new Ortholite 3D Deluxe urethane foam insole that I have installed into the shoe. So now my shoe is almost basically brand new. I'm gonna go ahead and swap out this sole here on camera for you guys to see. That way you guys can see how this is done. And if you need to trim up anything, I'm gonna show you my easy trick to be able to trim these up whenever it comes to it. All right, so we have our brand new sole and we have our old sole that we're gonna go ahead and peel off. The easiest way to get these off is going into this corner right here, and you're just gonna pull towards the toe and just peel them off just like that. We're gonna take our old sole. I'm actually gonna keep this because every now and again it's good to keep these just in case you feel like you need the step in between without having to go up in a number and without having to get a different sole. So I'm gonna keep this over on the side here for safekeeping. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and brush off any debris that might have landed on the actual Velcro. And then it's pretty simple. I'm gonna line up the bottom of the sole to the bottom back side of the shoe, and I'm gonna just apply it nice and gently all the way up across. And then whenever you turn over the shoe, you can tell there's a little bit of an excess here. Now, there's two different ways you can do this. One, you can buy an X-Acto knife and follow the trim of the shoe to be able to cut out the excess. You just wanna make sure you're using a sharp knife and be very careful. Again, this is something that you can easily hurt yourself with, so be careful whenever you're doing it. The other trick that I have is that I use these white wax pencils in the shop. So what I do is I actually just trace out the exterior of the outsole and go all the way around the shoe. Just like so. And then I'll take these back off, and then I'll take some scissors and I'll go ahead and trim these up. So let me go ahead and trim this up real quick for you guys. All right, so there we go. We went ahead and trimmed that up. We'll keep this little piece and we'll throw it away in the trash can here in a few minutes, but we're gonna line that back up, back of the sole to the back of the shoe. And we're just gonna push that down. You can see now it is nicely trimmed up to the shape of the shoe itself. So whenever we turn it over, we have no excess sitting here, no excess sitting here, and it is a nice clean cut. All right, and as always, we're gonna put these back into our shoe cover. This will probably be easier to do whenever you actually have your shoe on, but as simple as that, boom, boom, there we go. There's a shoe back in our shoe cover. All right, guys, so that is how you can maintain your shoes and a little bit more understanding about the interchangeable soles and the interchangeable heels that you can put on most interchangeable shoes. So if you guys have any more questions, make sure you guys drop them down in the comment section below, as well as hit that like, subscribe button, and turn on those post notifications while you're at it. If you didn't already know, we're running a giveaway once we reach 5,000 subscribers. If you want to check that out, go to this video right here. And if you needed any new soles or any new heels for your interchangeable shoes, make sure you guys go over to bowlingworld.biz, as always, to be able to get all your bowling needs. So, Bowling World fans, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the rest of my shoes and get them ready for that regional that I'm bowling next week. Talk to you soon.